Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going on a safari.
That's right, Johnny. Buckle up. It's another animal special. Where we're going to go to Louisiana to talk about hippos?
No, they're African.
African, yeah, yes.
Talk about they're native to Africa.
Yeah,
what?
but I'm going to talk.
Why are we going?
I'm going to tell
we're
us.
going to Louisiana.
I'm going to tell us about the time when we tried to do this in Louisiana and get the hippos over to Louisiana for some good old-fashioned farm meat. So
This is the worst safari ever. Tom.
This is an awful safari. So picture, if you will, we're going to get into our time machines. We're going to go back to 1910 America. It's had a chance.
Okay.
It's had a chance to read Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, which if you've not yet read that, do yourself a favor and don't, because it just tells you how awful the food industry was in the early 1900s. It's basically a big, like, yay, raw communism, but like you didn't know it was propaganda until you get to the very end of it. But yeah,
fun.
It does expose a horrible food industry at the time in the United States. Westward expansion is completed. So where we used to be able to just go west if we needed more land, or we were kind of running out of farmland, we could just go west. Yeah, we found that ocean, and now we have an ass ton of immigrants coming into the United States, more than at any point in time before in the past.
This is post or during the Industrial Revolution? Post-Industrial Revolution, right?
Yeah. Well, it's at the well. I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to look at the Industrial Revolution. I mean, I always look at it.
But that was like
kind
of
in the
late
Civil War and kind of goes
late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah. So we're there. We're in.
Brain, but...
Yeah, we're in the heart of the Industrial Revolution, I'd say, and
Okay.
learning how to wade those waters with employees and how to treat them like humans, because we got rid of slavery and then we just company stores. But anyways, that's a story for another time.
I mean, who cares if we treat people like humans? Like,
Yep.
In the history of this great world of ours,
We've always treated them like
found some group of people to not treat like humans.
So very.
And so now
very
it's
well.
the workers on the
the
food industry.
Yeah, the immigrant workers across.
Well,
it's just across the board everywhere. So all the way back to 1884, there was the International Cotton Exposition, Johnny. And we had a Japanese delegation that went to New Orleans, where the International Cotton Expedition was being held. Because this is riveting. How bored were you in the 1800s, where you're like, International Cotton Exposition, we're gonna go there.
There, lot of money to be made, Tommy.
A lot of money be made in the cotton. So the Japanese delegation goes to New Orleans. They bring with them some hyacinth flowers as a gift to the New Orleans people, and they plant them in the bayous, and they take off like wildfire, and they become a very much an invasive species.
Right?
Yeah.
God bless it. You can't. I guess they didn't know that then.
I guess they didn't know that.
Yeah,
then.
you can't do that. I mean, Florida, for crying out loud, is like a hotbed for invasive species. Like everything that escapes there just populates forever because of the climate.
Just thrives.
Like, it's unreal.
Well, same down with the Louisiana and the bayou. These flowers just they are. This is their territory. And the problem is, it's flowers, so who really cares? Except, these flowers are clogging up the waterways. So all that water transportation that you do for just fun boating activities with your family, or shipping of goods and services, all that's hindrance.
Now is this in we're down in New Orleans, right? Is it by the water? Is kind of
New Orleans is
some levees and stuff.
Yeah, there's some levees. Yeah, there's levees in New Orleans. It's a little under.
So
the
water's important.
Water's important.
They're clogging the waterways. Obviously,
yeah.
It's also going to be constricting out other plants that the local wildlife feeds on.
Especially several
they
fish.
Might not eat this, or
several fish species that are now starving out and dying out because these hyacinths are taking over their food source. So it's not.
And their whole entire habitat too. With the if they're clogging up the waterways, it's less room for fish, and I'm certain that they're at least somewhat territorial to an extent.
Yep.
Or need space to be able to grow and have their lay their eggs and everything.
Yep. And spoiler alert: these flowers are actually still a problem in Louisiana today. So they didn't.
Of course they.
They didn't.
Yeah,
because
once it goes, you can't get rid of that.
Once you get there, it's there. So by 1910, we're going to enter a Frederick Russell Burnham, who is a Louisiana congressman who goes, he's looking around, he's looking around his home state, going, how do I fix some of the issues that we have here? These flowers are a pain in the ass. He's going to read an article by Frederick Burnham, who is sort of a larger than life legend at this time. He was an American scout and adventurer at the Boy Scouts will actually model what they want boys to become. So the Boy Scouts look at this Burnham individual and say, you know what, that's a man's man. So my whole organization is going to be developed into taking little boys and turning them into this adventurer, like man's man style.
Okay, yeah, because we no longer had westward expansion, so there wasn't. So now you had to kind of simulate, but still teach that old-fashioned.
Yep.
Backwoods style survival.
Yep. Indiana Jones, the character Indiana Jones, is actually based partially on Burnham's life. And Burnham is going to spend a lot of his life as an adventurer. He ran out of westward expansion, so he's got to go somewhere after fighting the Indians. Yeah. Quite literally, after fighting the Indians, he goes over to Africa and joins the British Army and takes part in the Boer War, the Second Boer War over in Africa.
Oh, Boers are mean.
So, yeah, well, Johnny,
this isn't like the emu war?
Not the animal boar, the people boar, who are also very, very mean.
Where they were mean too.
Yeah, and allied with the Germans. So
I was hoping we could do another future episode like the emu war. Check that out if you haven't, because that was bonkers.
Yeah, that was also bonkers.
But okay, so that was a different boars. Okay, got
now, during this expedition over there in the Boer War, he does fall in love with the African animals and wants to bring them back to the United States. He even gets president at the time, Teddy Roosevelt, on board, but never really sees his dream come to fruition because every time he attempted to get the animals to come over, somebody sat in the way and said, "Look, I don't think introducing tigers and lions is probably the best thing to do in America. So let's not do that."
Yeah.
But sitting,
we don't need those here. We have cougars. That's a big enough cat. Oh, sorry. Went down my Sunday tube.
Went down the Sunday tube. But sitting down in the bayou, drinking his Sazerac, Congressman Broussard realizes, oh shit, hippos, they kind of live in swampy conditions in Africa, and they could totally eat the hyacinths. And bonus,
do they?
I heard that they're delicious, so maybe we could eat them. So when he's reading an article that was written by Burnham, he goes, you know what? This idea about bringing wild African life to come to the United States, it might have some merit. We're in Louisiana. So, I got these flowers that hippos eat flowers. Surely they'll eat a hyanthus or whatever the hell they're called. And then we can't use swampland for farmland. We can't grow cattle in a swamp. So
that's true.
Why not have some sea cows?
Now they're delicious. That surprises me.
Apparently, I don't know. I've not had a hippo.
Obviously,
I've not eaten a hippo.
But it surprised me that it just doesn't seem like that would be an animal that kind of eats. I guess it's eating grass mostly, like cows.
It's probably like a grass fed. I mean,
I wonder if it's fishy at all with all the time in the water.
Maybe. Well, hey, down in Louisiana,
if you've had hippo, let us know.
They eat alligator and crocodile down in Louisiana.
Yeah, and I've had alligator jerky and stuff. So I guess delicious is kind of subjective.
Subjective, yeah, very much subjective.
Now, face value, it kind of makes sense.
It kind of does.
You have the land, just face value. You have swampland, and
nobody can use it.
Useless, so you bring in something that now you can use it.
And it's going to eat an invasive species, or at least hopefully eat an invasive species, which helps out.
Yeah, so two birds with one stone. And then when the hippos become a problem, you just bring in lions? We're going to be eating. We're going to be eating the hippos. Yeah, we're just going to eat them. So we'll just fun them. And Americans will know.
Scratch all this shit. Or we're just going to hunt them, I guess, because I don't know why I confused hunt and farm in the same friggin' word. Hunt and farm.
Yeah, I mean, they're similar. Yeah, basically the same.
It's basically the same. So Broussard actually goes to the U.S. Congress, and he introduces Bill H.R. 23261. You can look it up, real thing. Commonly known as the Hippo Bill, which was asking Congress to appropriate only, and this is actually reasonable. I mean, granted, it's 1910, so this money's a little bit different. I didn't do the conversion, but still, $250,000 for the importation of useful new animals into the United States. That's all he was asking for, $250,000, which seems pretty damn reasonable. In comparison to like
for getting a bunch of hippos over here,
yeah, seems pretty reasonable.
I mean yeah. I mean, and it's business startup funds essentially is what he was looking for. He says, I'm gonna create a great industry and do a lot of good. So
and we're gonna fight one invasive species with another invasive species. What could possibly go wrong with this? Like all American politics, though, nothing happens with speed, and there will be a congressional hearing and investigations into the efficacy of this as a proposal. Like, is this even feasible?
Yeah.
Will the hippos eat the damn flowers?
Right. Yes,
Are hippos actually edible, and will people like
delicious
eating them? And can we get hippos over and then like breed them in any kind of way that would actually make sense?
Right. Can we turn them into a livestock? Can we create a livestock out of this wild animal, essentially?
Exactly. So obviously Broussard's already read Burnham's articles, already on board with Burnham wanting to bring these animals over to begin with. So he gets in hold of Burnham, who's like, "Yep, all on board." So he's going to write another article called "Transplanting African Animals" in the New York Independent that quickly gets American support for the idea. He's like, "Yeah, this is feasible. We can bring the hippos over." I saw a couple of hippos during the Bull War.
He just wrote an article and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is how you do it. This is how it works, and it's going to be awesome." So totally.
But during all these hearings, Broussard is going to need to get foreign assistance in Africa and in the United States to actually make this kind of a feasible thing. And he needs somebody who actually,
the hippos, perhaps,
who actually has experience with hippos, to come over to Louisiana to see, hey, Africa's a bit different than the bayou. Will they be okay?
Right, yeah.
Will they like?
Can they survive in the conditions of Louisiana, which are no doubt different than the savannah?
So this is where the story gets really fun. So enter a Fritz Joubert Duquesne, who is a Boer and a German soldier, who is also a real-life mythical figure himself. He's going to start fighting with the Germans against the British during the Boer Wars, and he's not a big fan of the Brits.
Now, what is a Boer?
It's just
an army.
It's a group of people in a specific area in Africa that I don't know what the geographical location is, but I know it was.
Okay, so
it was an area
it's
that
was like a New Englander, like a Westerner, like a Southerner, or something like that.
It is important to note, although he's born in Africa, it's a white dude. Okay,
right.
Point that out for a nickname that he gets here in a little bit.
Oh God!
But he creates several spy organizations during his lifetime, including one during the Boer War. He's a major spy that is actually charged with trying to kill Burnham during the war because Burnham's fighting with the British on the other side.
Sure.
Burnham himself, who's also a spy, is assigned to kill Duquesne.
Spy versus
so we got
spy.
Spies versus spy going on, where neither of the men,
amazing.
they're not successful during the Boer Wars fighting each other. They never actually meet. They never follow through with their assassination order or the other. But they're trying to their whole time.
So it's legitimate Mad TV spy versus spy.
This is legitimate Mad TV spy versus spy. Duquesne is going to get the nickname the Black Panther, again, white dude in Africa. So confusing things the way it is.
Yeah. Sure.
Through his life, Duquesne is actually going to lead in creating several spy rings, like I said, for the Germans during both World War I and World War II, and then, of course, in the Boer Wars themselves.
Right.
He's going to fake his death at one point, move to Australia, where he's going to make public talks about how he fought against the Germans, even though he was very much an ally with the Germans through both World Wars. So the first one,
he's a guy. He's a guy who knows how to start a new life and disappear and. That's how you do it.
Come back. So anyways, Broussard is going to hire Duquesne to gain support in Africa for the expedition of the Hippos. He's also going to have Duquesne come to the United States, to Louisiana, to investigate the bayous to see if that's even an efficacy.
So this is before we're bringing them over. This is
viewing
the house for the hippos, essentially, before you buy it.
Exactly. But Duquesne's kind of a con man, and it's not exactly like he did his best effort to really make this thing go through. But the initial feelings in the America is that one that we kind of talked about. All right, like on paper, this doesn't sound like a completely stupid idea.
Reasonable, somewhat.
The Washington Post actually gets on board, starts writing several articles about this, about the excitement of sea bacon and bringing over some sea hippos, sea cows.
Hold up.
Yeah, right. Think about it.
I did not make the connection.
Hippo's kind of like a
pig.
They'd
be like pig.
Yeah, it could be like a pig. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of fat on a hippo. It could
that's
be
a whole
lot of bacon.
You could get some good, thick slab bacon out of that for sure.
Definitely get some
hippo chops. Oh, forget about it. Okay, I'm more on board. Why?
More on board.
Okay. All right.
So
these don't still exist, right? All right. Anyway,
the initial reports seem very, very favorable. Hippos would eat the flowers on paper. They would actually eat these flowers, so they would take care of on paper. Well, they would. They'd eat the flowers. They will eat the high end
because it's growing in the water and it's the same type. It's basically
same type of
grass.
vegetation
They
that they
scrape the bottom of the ground and.
Yep. Hippos can survive in Louisiana. Like, it wouldn't actually be that big of a stretch for them. It's they like to live in the water. Plenty of water in Louisiana. Plenty of food for them to eat. This would work.
Yeah, it doesn't freeze or anything.
No,
it doesn't get real cold.
We're gonna ignore the fact that hippos in Africa kill 500 people in the wild. Versus the 22 domesticated cow deaths that we have in the United States a year. We're going to ignore the fact that these are a dangerous animal. I think there might be
a few more cows in America too than there are
the hippos.
In the world.
We'll ignore that part, but on paper it looks really, really good. So good, in fact, that the Washington Post brags in their newspaper that they said that the Americans will start to see the first hippo imports by 1911 with the first hippo meat on your plate by the end of 1911, which...
That's so... All right. Why would they make that claim?
Because they thought this was a sure deal. They thought Congress was going to give approval. They're excited about it. But that excitement quickly wanes when there comes the logistical problems of A, getting congressional approval, and B, actually getting a hippo from Africa to the United States.
And not a hippo.
No, like herds of hippos breeding like stock of hippo. Yeah, you need breeding stock of hippos.
Bloat.
Yeah, a bloat of hippos. So as the public support starts to wane off, because Americans are very, very short attention span, if you don't do this within the first couple of months, it's not going to happen. Congress is still meeting, and
so even back then we heard about something and then forgot it real quick.
Yeah, even back then, yep, you sure did.
Nothing new. Okay, that's good. That's actually a little reassuring.
So before the hippo ranchers could get off their ground here, there were several congressmen who came up to these hearings and say, hey, we have a problem here because hippos, like all African animals, there's a big problem in Africa about poaching of them. They have the tusks that they go after. It's kind of cool. You kill the big ass hippo, people go after. So if we brought the hippos over here to the United States and to ranches, aren't we afraid that some of these poachers are going to break onto the ranches and murder some of these hippos, or maybe get hurt by some of these hippos because they're wild animals? So yeah,
they'll get hurt for sure. Also, I just thought about this. Hippos share a symbiotic relationship with a type of bird that eats like ticks and lice and things off of it and out of it and around.
We probably have to bring that bird over too. Yeah.
We will also need that bird, which of course will not be a problem at all. Introducing a new bird into a.
But we're not. But that's the stick up in Congress here is actually this poacher idea. Not the. Will the hippos become an invasive species? Not that do we have to bring the bird over.
Just worried about crime.
We're worried about.
Are we going to bring poachers into America?
But does that surprise you, Johnny? That we're worried about crime.
Well, I mean, it's the way that Congress gets things done is through fear.
Yeah,
and so this was their fear tactic.
It's
bad because this will happen.
Now,
Never mind that we have that Second Amendment where the farmers can defend their hippos with their guns and stuff.
Well, and I was thinking you actually lost a commercial opportunity here, and what Burnham and Broussard should have done is they should have actually sat down and said, "Hey, look, there are actually wildlife game preserves in Africa that people pay premium dollars to go to hunt these basically farmed animals. So why?
Yeah.
I mean, just bring the look. We're gonna slaughter the hippos anyways. So why not let a hunter
some people
pay
trophy
to
hunt and
come
make some
in and
money?
shoot the hippo, and then we just use the hippo meat like we were gonna anyways. They can have the
I
head.
mean, don't you think though that if it was a farmed animal that you ate regularly, like people aren't out here being like, "Oh, I really want to go hunt a cow."
I don't. There's not even
Like,
a lot
it takes
of.
a little of the luster away, I would
Yeah,
think.
I don't think there's a lot
But-
of buffalo hunting going on anymore either, and because we've now started farming buffalo, so
Right.
I think that's kind of lost a little
Yeah.
bit of its. I might be wrong on that though, but I don't think there's a lot of people hunting buffalo anymore. At least not like what
I'm
we used to
sure
do, where we just went out into the
when
on the
we
trail.
tried to eradicate it to starve out the natives.
Yeah, there's that one.
thing.
In any case, so while all this is going on, the Department of Agriculture still has an issue on their hand. They still have a meat shortage that they still have to figure out. Like, we've got a food shortage in the United States. We got to figure this out. We got to increase immigration. So what do we do? And the actual solution that they come up with while they're trying to figure out how to, ship in hippos was a little bit easier of an option called industrialized farming. So the whole United States was set off between two paths: industrialized farming or hippo production. Now, industrialized farming...
really dropped the ball on this one.
We did, because industrialized farming, what they did is they took those uninhabited or unfarmable land, like swamps, and we just started making them farmable by, like, forcing the products that we wanted in those areas anyways by any means necessary, like building levees and dams to dry up land
Right.
for the farming, which has no negative. There has never been a hurricane that has done any damage in Louisiana at all due to failed levees.
Yeah.
So you have that. You also have growing as many animals as you can on the smallest amount of property as you can. Confined farming, which is where you get the pig barns and the chicken barns, where they never see the light of day. It's just wall-to-wall chickens and wall-to-wall pigs that are being pumped full of growth hormones and antibiotics just so they can fucking survive long enough to be harvested.
Well, and also get way bigger. Take a look at the size of the average chicken that you would get at a grocery store 50 years ago and today. It's like double. It's like the chickens now were turkeys back in the day.
Yeah, very much so. And don't even look at the turkeys. What we've done to them. But in any case, so we go down this route of industrialized farming now, not pro-vegan or pro-life,
which is
or that
basically
kind of stuff.
like big corporate farms, right?
But yeah, there are issues with big corporate farming, where you do the barn farming where all the animals are confined in this location. There's the big increase in grain fed cattle as opposed to like grass fed free range cattle going to grain. And that has its own health consequences. Of course, also has its own ethical consequences on this industrialized scale farming where we're just like sending chickens down a poor... My wife worked at a chicken factory when she was in Arkansas, and having to do all that fucking slaughtering when they're coming down the lines. And then, of course, you really lose...
Did they just give her like a katana and she got to just like...
Oh, no. By the time they got to her, they were already dead. But occasionally, their heads wouldn't be chopped off all the way. So she said that when they would come through the line and they were still ahead, she would take her finger and put it up the head, like inside the head, and pop the eyeballs out on the chicken. So the eyeballs were like that cartoon.
Like a squeezy stress toy?
Yes, a squeezy stress toy. And then they would put that on the hook and send it down the line so that it would like bulging hide chicken heads at people. Because, this is what you do when you're bored in a factory, I guess. But anyways, we get that. So this is the most American story that I've ever come across, where you have Indiana Jones wanting to bring African animals over into the United States.
Careful, we're past that.
Yeah, we're past the African.
We already did that. We fought a war over it. We stopped it.
So he could bring African animals, not people, over, so that he can have an adventure because we ran out of room on the West. Supported by a congressman that wanted to return a flower that was given to him as a gift, and investigated by a German spy who was sent to kill Indiana Jones. And the end result is that corporation win because we get corporate farming, which is just the best way to do things.
It's farming without a soul, essentially.
Yep. So we could have had hippos, but instead we've got farming without a soul.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about Henry Barry Lowry.